are very disappointed with the result today. We will be appealing, and I'm absolutely confident that we will win on appeal.
The verdict, guilty for a Mexican businessman at the heart of a campaign finance scandal. The challenges for San Diego jurors following the money trail.
We're excited to help build this ecosystem because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're helping.
And the brains behind a business incubator kickstarting the shopping scene along the border.
If I had a car, it'd take you like 5 to 10 minutes to get home.
Instead, it takes you
an hour.
Playing the waiting game in San Diego in the search for reliable public transportation on Sunday. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. A federal jury convicted a Mexican tycoon today of illegally pumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into San Diego campaigns. KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma has been following this story and was there when the verdict was read.
The jury found Jose Susimo Izano Matsura guilty of conspiring to funnel over $500,000 into the 2012 San Diego mayoral race. The jury, however, deadlocked on a gun charge against Izano. Jurors also found two others, social media services expert Ravneet Singh and Izano's son, Edward Susimo Izano Hester, guilty of several felony counts tied to the illegal contributions Izano made to District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis and Bob Filner when they ran for mayor 4 years ago. San Diego lobbyist Marco Polo Cortez, who was also charged in the case, was found not guilty. Lawyers for Izano and Singh say they will appeal the verdict.
Yes, this is the kind of case that will go to the United States Supreme Court, and if necessary, we will win it there.
I also spoke to jury foreman Cesar Tornell. He says that this was a very difficult case to deliberate over because there were so many facts to consider. He also said that he wondered why the recipients of Izano's money, including former San Diego Mayor Bob Filner and District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis, didn't face more legal scrutiny in this case. He said it made him feel like they were somehow above the law. Reporting from the federal courthouse downtown, Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
Busted. Federal agents arrested 3 U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers who allegedly allowed immigrants to cross the San Ysidro border illegally. 50-year-old Jose Luis Cota has been accused of accepting cash bribes and sexual favors in exchange for letting unauthorized people through his lane on at least 4 occasions. Authorities say 2 others were also arrested as alleged co-conspirators. Their hearing is scheduled for next Wednesday. Protesters rallied against the Dakota Access Pipeline today outside San Diego's federal building. A Native American tribe wants to stop construction near its reservation in North Dakota. San Diego protesters also want to raise awareness of climate change and water issues.
It's not just a Native American issue. This is an all-American issue. This has to do with water. We all need water to stay alive. You know, you can't live without it.
A judge denied a request today to halt construction of the pipeline, but the U.S. government has ordered work to stop in one area that is said to contain sacred artifacts. The quarter-of-a-century fight over the Mount Soledad cross is over. The litigation has been settled. The landmark cross will remain visible from Interstate 5 on Mount Soledad in La Jolla. Journalist Tony Perry covered the case for more than 20 years as the former San Diego bureau chief for the Los Angeles Times.
Department of Defense, at the urging of the order of the United States Congress, sold it to an association dedicated to keeping that cross there. And the ACLU, the major litigant at this point, said we can live with that. The city is now out of it. They are out of the religion business. We can live with it.
During the 25-year controversy, the Mount Soledad case was heard by a number of judges, and when the cross was owned by the city of San Diego, the decision to keep it was approved by a public vote. Visitors at the cross today were positive about the decision.
That is super. I've been following it, even from Illinois, concerned about it, very much.
And we'll be up here at Mount Soledad to do a memorial service for the sailors that have passed on before us. And so this is great news for us.
I'm very happy that the cross will remain. We voted on it several times, and obviously the people have won out.
A cross in some form has stood on the site since 1913 after the litigation began. In 1989, the base of the cross was filled with war memorial plaques honoring veterans. A parade to honor New York's fallen heroes. It marks the upcoming 15th anniversary of 9/11. It honors the officers who were killed during the attack or who died of illnesses after participating in the rescue. The main September 11th memorial ceremony will take place on Sunday. In San Diego State University also remembered the attacks of 9/11 today. KPBS video journalist Matt Bowler shows us the ceremony.
Today, the SDSU community joins together to remember the tragic events of September 11th, 2001.
Jonathan Ryland, president of the Student Veteran Organization here at SDSU. 8 years active duty in the Marine Corps, and then 3 years as a reservist in the Marine Corps. I think it's good that, not necessarily to kind of like live through history again, but at least to recognize the fact that it happened, and especially an event like 9/11 that drastically changed not only the United States but the entire world.
Please join us in a moment of silence.
Camp Pendleton's 13 Marine Expeditionary Unit is coming home. They're returning tomorrow after a 7-month deployment to the Pacific and Middle East, where they conducted strikes against ISIS and provided support operations against Al-Qaeda. Southwestern and Palomar colleges are rolling out the welcome mat for jilted ITT Tech students. Both campuses have scheduled workshops Monday where students from ITT's closed National City and Vista campuses can meet with counselors, and both are offering classes as early as October.
When you're, on a career path and then suddenly an obstacle gets in your way, community colleges are a great option to continue on your career path, and so we'd like to be able to assist them as best we can.
ITT abruptly closed its doors this week after the Department of Education banned the for-profit college from receiving federal aid. For more information on the workshops, visit our website, kpbs.org. If you pay property taxes or county fees here in San Diego, the county might owe you money. But the time to collect it is running out. The county treasurer is holding about $352,000 in overpaid taxes and fees, and he has a list of about 1,100 people the money belongs to. You can check that list on the web address there on your screen. If that money isn't claimed by Monday, though, state law says it goes back to the county's general fund. Think of all the things people do on Sundays: errands, church, visiting family, and work. Doing all of that without a car in San Diego can be nearly impossible. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen caught up with one woman who wants to change that.
You're LeJean? Hi, nice to meet you.
LeJean Russell is just getting off work at Home Depot in the Mountain View neighborhood. It's a Sunday, meaning she's got a long commute with lots of walking ahead of her. She let me tag along.
I've been catching the bus since I was a teenager.
You're from San Diego?
Born and raised.
LeJean has a couple different bus routes she can take, each with different transfers and timetables. She checks the different arrival times on her phone.
This one comes in 7 minutes.
Okay, so should we wait here then, do you think?
Yes, we can wait here because the other one is 20 minutes, right?
Okay. One of the biggest problems getting to and from work on a Sunday, Lijan says, is buses don't run frequently enough. If she's seconds late for one bus, it can take her a half hour longer to get to work. None of this would be a problem, of course, if Lijan could afford a car. She lives in Oak Park, only 3 miles from her job.
If I had a car, it'd take me like 5 to 10 minutes to get home.
Instead, it takes you
an hour.
Sunday bus schedules used to be a lot better in San Diego.
Hello, how are you?
But starting in 2007, the state and federal governments began slashing their subsidies to public transit. That forced the Metropolitan transit system to raise its fares. Then in 2010, it made sweeping cuts to services, most of them on Sundays. Those cuts were first discussed at an MTS board meeting in December 2009. There's no video of the meeting, but there is audio. Things got pretty emotional during public comment.
Well, on Sundays, the bus 11 is the only bus that gets me to church. It takes me 3 hours, but at least it's there. I don't know anyone with a car. Sorry. My livelihood is like going down the tubes. How am I supposed to get an education? How am I supposed to get a job if there's no transportation?
When MTS proposed the Sunday cuts, they said they would hopefully be temporary until the economy recovered. Well, the economy mostly has recovered, but subsidies to MTS are still below pre-recession levels when adjusted for inflation. It's been able to bring back only 60% of the services that were cut. Last year, MTS saw its first overall decline in ridership in several years. It's now doing surveys to see how it can run the existing network more efficiently. Transit advocates like Colin Parent of the nonprofit Circulate San Diego say MTS has a tough job. It has to serve San Diegans who depend on public transit while still running routes that have the most riders and bring in the most money. That's especially tough for MTS because it gets a smaller chunk of local tax dollars than public transit in other cities.
There really are difficult choices between efficiency and cost effectiveness for rides and these social equity concerns, and making sure that people who don't have access to a car are able to get around using public transit. And it's not that one or the other is totally the most important thing. They're both important, and you have to balance them both.
The final stretch of Lijan's commute is a walk up a long hill. She and some neighbors recently gathered signatures asking MTS to restore Sunday service to a bus line that runs right in front of their low-income housing development. Last April, they met with a transit planner to discuss options, but MTS says it simply can't afford the changes residents are asking for. About an hour after leaving Lijan's work, we finally arrive at her apartment. As we talk outside, she sums up the problem.
When you're filling out an application for a job, it asks you, do you have reliable transportation to and from work? Most people put yes because that's what you have to do to get the job, but they're still on public transportation, and it's not reliable.
San Diego has an ambitious climate action plan that expects thousands of San Diegans to quit driving and start taking public transit. But unless public transit improves, it risks losing the riders it has now.
Do you want a car?
I do want a car. Right now, yes, I do.
Just because it'd be easier?
Just because it would be easier. It would make my life so much easier.
Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
It's no surprise housing in San Diego is very scarce and very expensive. We'll look at why some are calling it a crisis. And we explore lessons learned from San Diego's 10-year-old living wage law as San Diego raises its minimum wage. Join us for the Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Drug violence drove thousands of businesses out of Ciudad Juarez between 2008 and 2011. Juarez Business Chamber put that number more at 10,000. But as Simon Thompson shows us, a private effort is working to kick the city's business sector back into gear.
Mandala is a fashion retail startup in Ciudad Juarez launching mobile fashion stores. Viviana Macias says it's like boutiques on wheels, rolling selections of fashion apparel and accessories springing up at the city's hotspots, going where the customers are.
If you think in fashion, you think in US or maybe in Paris, but not in Mexico, right? So what we need to create is fashion here in Mexico and also in the border.
Macias and her partners met at Technology Hub, a chic new business incubator in Ciudad Juarez. The Innovation Hub offers business mentoring, collaborative workspace, and startup boot camps. CEO Ricardo Mora co-founded the hub to nurture entrepreneurial talent in the region.
We're excited to help build this ecosystem because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're helping.
80% of Mexican startups fail by their second year, often due to lack of financing. But Morris says the challenges facing a new startup are nothing compared to what Juarez businesses faced during the drug war. Extortion, kidnappings, and death threats. Thousands of businesses fled the city.
You didn't know if people that were working for you were either inside or they were outside. We had to close shop. All our shops that are on the streets got closed. We only kept the ones that are inside malls. You took signs off. You didn't answer phone calls.
These abandoned shops are just one visible impact of the drug war violence. Many businesses had to close or move across the border to El Paso. But the Juarez tech community is working to reinvigorate the city's business sector.
Macias says opening up pop-up stores on the streets of Juarez would have been unthinkable, even just 6 years ago.
In the last years, maybe it's so difficult because we have a lot of issues here in the city. But I love my city, I love Juarez, and I love all this energy that the people have here.
For the Fronteras Desk in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, I'm Simon Thompson.
Warm temperatures expected inland with cooler weather along the coast this weekend in San Diego. Shanae Shocker has tonight's forecast.
Over the past 6 hours, we really have not picked up much moisture or a lot of activity in the southwest and especially in San Diego County. As we look ahead into tonight, it's a pretty standard night, 67 degrees. Going to start to build those clouds in through the evening. Those will continue into tomorrow as well, but they'll break up in the morning. As you take a look at the county for your lows tonight, as we head inland just a little bit, Ramona sitting at 53 degrees, out in Alpine 58. Go back into Borrego Springs, 67, and Mount Laguna, 51 degrees there. Here's your setup for Saturday. There is an area of high pressure over the Four Corners, and that's going to be ushering in some very warm temperatures inland, but the coast is going to stay quite cooler. This is also your setup for the nation. Some thunderstorms around the Four Corners. This drop jet stream ushering in some cooler air early next week, so that heat that we're going to see on Saturday is going to begin to dissipate as that jet stream drops and that cooler air is ushered in. Take a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. We start for your weekend in the mid-70s, 76 on Saturday, 75 comes Sunday. On Monday, though, you see those temperatures begin to drop into the low 70s, and they're going to stay there to round out your week on Wednesday as well. Your lows dropping into 57 degrees on Wednesday as well. Go inland a little bit, those temperatures, they bump up quite a bit. We're at 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies on Saturday, Sunday, 85. So it's a nice weekend to get outdoors. But the beginning of your work week is going to be even better as those temperatures begin to drop. 79 degrees Tuesday, 75. And on Wednesday, you're going to go back up into the upper 70s, but nothing we can't handle. Into the mountains, those temperatures, you see a bigger change as we go into Monday. Sunday sitting at 81, that jet stream drops, and you see temperatures in the low 70s. And then come Tuesday, you're even reaching into the 60s as well. So it's a nice way to round out your week. You're going to want to make sure that you bring out your jackets in the evenings because it's going to get quite cold out in the mountains. Now the desert Southwest, definitely still hot over the weekend. 107 on Saturday, 105 on Sunday. Those triple digits, they're exhausting, aren't they? But don't worry because we're going to drop down into the 90s, and by Tuesday, we're at 91 degrees. they'll go back up a little bit on Wednesday to 96. That sun is still going to continue to shine, so it's still going to be quite warm. I'm Shanae Shocker, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, a report from on the ground in Afghanistan on how that country has changed since the 9/11 attacks. That's Friday on the PBS News Hour.
A U.S. lawmaker is challenging the recent Yosemite National Park expansion, saying the park violated federal law by adding the 400 acres without clearing the move with Congress. Yosemite officials announced this week that a nonprofit trust bought the land for $2.3 million and donated it to the park as a wildlife habitat. It marks Yosemite's largest expansion in 70 years. Hundreds of white pelicans have suddenly showed up to Puget Sound after disappearing from more arid places like eastern Oregon. In tonight's Earth Fix report, Katie Campbell says their arrival has been fun for bird watchers, but it may not be a good thing for the pelicans.
Matt Kirschbaum and Sue Eiler have a summer ritual. Every other week,
we come down and we set up our spotting scope.
We get out our data sheets.
And a hand clicker.
I call it a tallywhacker.
And the citizen scientists count the herons of Padilla Bay.
You're seeing sometimes in the neighborhood of 500-600 birds. It's extraordinarily difficult to count in your minds.
What was your total count on that one?
210.
210? Okay.
This estuary in northwest Washington is home to thousands of birds, including the largest breeding colonies of great blue herons in the Pacific Northwest. Counts like these serve as an annual checkup.
We watch all the species that are here and kind of used to who's who.
So they were some of the first to see the new arrivals.
Matt and I are coming to do our survey. He throws on the brakes. He goes, there they are. And there's 11 pelicans they were like next to here. And it's like seeing aliens arrive. They aren't here.
The American white pelican's range stretches across much of the country, but it doesn't touch western Washington.
It's unprecedented for them to be here, so something really unusual was happening. Of course, we're just, we're having a blast.
Okay, I found the pelicans.
Did you?
They're right by the boat.
Aha.
Really tough, they're low.
Wow, okay.
White pelicans are conspicuous birds with their 9-foot wingspans and long orange bills.
They're just bizarre, in a neat way.
They're different from brown pelicans, a more common summer visitor to coastal Washington. Those are the ones that dive for fish. White pelicans take a team approach to feeding.
Oh, yeah, they're doing the synchronized swimming, the ballet. Yes, they are. Oh, that's cool.
At first, they counted just a handful of pelicans.
Then we had like 30, and then there were 50. Finally it was up to 100.
And then reports started coming from all over the region.
We've got reports that came from Barkley Sound, Canada, one at Lummi.
From the Olympic Peninsula, across Puget Sound, and north into British Columbia. During the summer, the region's white pelicans normally stick close to a few major breeding areas farther south and east. But with parts of Oregon and California enduring another year of severe drought, some of their best protected breeding grounds have gone dry. Malheur National Wildlife Refuge has reported failed breeding colonies for 2 years. So the pelicans in Puget Sound could be pioneers searching for a suitable site for a new colony. One place they seem fond of is a small lagoon on Whidbey Island.
Well, I counted 135.
135?
Yeah.
Well, this is a first for them to be here.
Joe Sheldon has never seen pelicans in almost 20 summers living here.
Seeing white pelicans in western Washington is unusual. Seeing 180 white pelicans in western Washington is unheard of.
Sheldon is a retired professor of ecology. He says the pressures of climate change could be at play.
You might describe these as a climate refugee if indeed Malheur has dried to the point where they can no longer feed and breed there.
Pelican colonies across the country have indeed been shifting north by about 200 miles over the last 50 years. But it's too soon to say if these pelicans are just Puget Sound tourists or new summer residents.
So will they come back? We'll wait and see for next year.
This EarthFix reporting project was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. A high school student from San Diego is honored by the White House as a National Student Poet. 16-year-old Maya Salome is one of 5 National Student Poets. They were all invited to the White House yesterday to read from their works. Salome's poem is entitled Sacrilege Incorporated.
I speak to you, terrorists, skyjackers, lifejackers, and otherwise flavored peddlers of sacred hearsay. I speak to you, just FYI, just for your illumination. God is not a McDonald's franchise. You hold no right to sell, market, or otherwise operate in his name.
The Student Poet Program will send Salome to poetry classes and art festivals. She will also take part in community service projects. Salome tells the Los Angeles Times she hopes to work with immigrants. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.